It's Friday. Actually, it's late Friday. And you know what time it is. Front Runner Podcast Collective is back on the air. I am your humble host, Vince. And today's podcast, we will be discussing the transformation of Luka Dončić. And we will also be discussing what that actually means for the Los Angeles Lakers. We're also going to talk about what is going on with these restricted free agents, why this is such a problem, why people aren't getting paid or understanding what their value is, and also what the front offices are saying about these type of situations and how cautious they have to be at this present time in this I would say very tenuous state of what the NBA is. So we have a ton to talk about. It's going to be very front office, just crazy. We're gonna get into a lot of things, what a lot of people said about this, and I'm really excited about it because this is the type of stuff that I like to get into more, get into the weeds more, and I think summertime is the perfect time to do it. We will go ahead and get into that. It is a feel-good Friday for sure, even though it is on the East Coast, it's probably about 10:40. On the West Coast, we still got sunlight. The sun's shining outside. I mean, it's going down, but we still got it. And the la off the chain. So, can't wait to talk about all of that. But before we get into the podcast, couple things. One, be a friend, tell a friend about the podcast. Let people know you can get it on Spotify, you can get it on Apple, or whatever podcast platform you choose to listen to. Front Runner Podcast Collective is on there, and it happens on Tuesdays and Fridays. The other thing, thank you to the massive amount of people that are listening to the podcast from China, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, South America, North America, across the pond in Europe. It has been a whirlwind. The numbers are so crazy, and I am I'm touched. One, when you do a podcast and you turn on a microphone, you know, you hope, I mean, and if you are inclined to do so, which I am inclined to do so, you pray that there are people out there who are listening to you, that the podcast is reaching people, and I wouldn't say, you know, droves or anything like that, but you hope that you reach some people, and you hope that at some point it'll grow, which we are. And I couldn't be more happier. I am astonished by the word of mouth campaign that is going on, and the audience really needs to take a bow on this. It's really, you guys have drove this. You drove the numbers up. You drove what is good on this podcast, what is not good on this podcast. So everybody should take a bow, but we still need to continue that momentum. We need to continue to further the campaign of the FRPC Army. We need to collectively come together and lift our voices up and be heard. And again, many thanks to all the people out there who are listening to it, enjoying the NBA conversation, and I hope that we do you proud yet again today. So with that being said, let's get into our podcast. We are going to start in Los Angeles, California. And the reason why we're doing this is because we are maybe a day away, maybe possibly 2 days away from Luka Dončić coming to the La. Right now, currently, he is in Chicago, Illinois, home of the Chicago Bulls, home of Michael Jordan, who used to put up bunches of points, bunches of championships. And Luka's trying to get a little bit of that Chicago style love right now. But also what Luka is showing off is what we talked about last Friday. When I told you that Luka had lost 35 pounds, and then the pictures started to come out. He was on Men's Health magazine. And then he did the Today Show. And then the Instagram started to come out. And you could see there was a drastic difference in what Luka looked like last game of the season and what he looks like now. First of all, we got great information. So we like to thank our sources. Shouts out to Pat McAfee and his crew. But it's not just the 35 pounds. To me, what it represents. And what it represents is his commitment to being the baddest man on the planet. I think that this guy is going to interject himself into the MVP race where he belongs. I think you're going to see a renewed attitude of Luka Dončić in his second year as a Laker. And you're going to see dominance, maybe that we've not seen before. Because I do want to preface this. It was only a couple years ago that this dude was putting up like 34, 8, and 9 and leading the Dallas Mavericks to the NBA Finals. He was runner-up for the MVP then, and now you're talking about a guy who has dedicated himself to his conditioning. And also, what kind of MFer Luka Dončić is. You know what kind of competitor he is. And he's petty. He is absolutely petty. So this wasn't a summer makeover. Dončić dropped 35 pounds like he was prepping for a title fight. So I'm telling you right now, whatever this is going to be, I cannot wait to watch it. So Rhea's note is this: what stands out about Luka's transformation isn't the loss of weight. It's the sharpness of his footwork, because, she be spying on the IG. She be on the internet trying to get as much information as we possibly can get. And she said that, in his couple little exhibitions out there, he looks more spry. He looks quicker. I'm telling you right now, that's bad news for a lot of people. So let's talk MVP. We know who the MVP was last year. That was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander of the Oklahoma City Thunder. The numbers he puts up, the clutch performances he puts up, are absolutely electric, and it led to an NBA championship. He was hoisting the Larry O'Brien, in the plains of Oklahoma. Now, Luka's stat line, for somebody who was coming off a severe calf injury that inhibited him from playing, he only played like 50 games last year. 28.2, 8.2 rebounds, 7.7 assists. That was his stats. That was his stats last year on shaky, I wouldn't even say just conditioning, because I don't think he could condition with the calf injury being the way it was. I think he babied that injury throughout the season when he did play. I think he was very careful in his movements and also in his cutting ability and what have you. And I think now, with what he has done, I think we're going to see an onslaught, and we're going to see Luka back to the plus 30 a game, the great passing, the rebounding, and just him being a complete asshole to people. And I mean that in the best way possible, because he is competitive. That is all there is to this situation. He is monsterly competitive. So what does this mean for the Lakers? What does this mean for LeBron James? And what does this mean for the league? So let's get into that real quick. Luka is going to do something for LeBron that LeBron has been doing for everybody else his entire career. One, he's going to make the game a lot easier for LeBron. And what I'm talking about with that is, if LeBron embraces the role of a pick and roll 4, he's going to see easier buckets, because let's face it, LeBron is an athletic freak. He's a genetic experiment that went wrong or right, however you want to look at it. Because nobody's supposed to be 41 years of age and be able to be as quick, as fast, as explosive as he is. Now, has he lost a step? 100%. But he's still pretty damn explosive for somebody who's, touching 41. Remember, this will be year 23 for LeBron James. And he can be a dominant power forward in this league. How that's going to happen is you're going to have to go ahead and do some pick and roll. You'll be getting bumped, what have you, and then rolling or kicking out to the 3-point line. So pick and pop, which then might send the defense into a complete frenzy. You go ahead and swing the ball around. Maybe the ball comes back to you. There's going to be thunderous dunks involved. There's going to be a lot of things going on when it comes to the Lakers. But I would love to see the pick and roll between LeBron James and Luka Dončić a lot more this year. I want to see them spam that action as many times as possible. Decide which side of the court you want to be on for this to happen. And let's go ahead and get it going. Because LeBron and Luka on the court, you're talking about two guys who are, as far as cerebrally, they're the smartest guys usually on the court. Now, you want to talk about Nikola Jokic and a couple other players or whatever, about their basketball IQ. Okay, I will not fight you on that. But you'll have to at least give me this. Luka and LeBron would probably make up top 6, maybe even top 5. They're both in the top 5 as far as smartest player in the league, with LeBron probably being first, because he calls out defenses and what have you. So I'm really interested to see how this all works and how this is going to go. I think you're going to see a guy who is going to put up monster numbers from Luka. And then that will allow LeBron to kind of not take it easy, but I would say less offensive load. You don't have to bring the ball up very often anymore with having Luka and also having Austin Reeves on the court by your side for most of the time. So I will tell you right now, this is going to look, if you liked it last year, you're going to love it this year. Here's where Luka's numbers in his state last year: 45% from the field, remember, high volume. 36.8 from 3-point land. His free throw percentage was surprisingly low for me, 78.2%. I think he'll bump that up to probably about 84. Still, his effective field goal percentage was elite because he got to the foul line and what have you. But it wasn't just the numbers he's putting up. It's the promise of what he could give to the Lakers. It's the imagination of what is out there for him. Like the old Kobe commercial. More. I want more. We're going to get a lot more this year. So, it might not necessarily be about the MVP. It might not necessarily be about the NBA's next era. But Luka to LA. This is about as excited as I've seen the fan base since Kobe Bryant. Now, I understand when LeBron got here, there was some excitement, like, let's go, because we had been on such a downward spiral for a little while, like, what was it, 6-7 years? And yes, they did win the title, but it was more of a murmur than it was just an outright roar. But as soon as Luka came to the Los Angeles Lakers, there was a renewed sense of optimism. What else is possible? What else could happen? Who else could we get? Of course, we always have to thank Nico Harrison for the bang-up job he did, allowing Luka to come to Los Angeles. We thank him very, very much, because it definitely reset our timeline for how good the Lakers are going to be for the next at least 8 years. I will say this, whether it's tomorrow, the first night of SummerSlam, or if it's the second night of SummerSlam, you will hear an eruption from Los Angeles. It might register on the Richter scale. And that will be when Luka signs his contract extension and the Laker Nation, the Laker loyal fan base will just rise up and rejoice and party like nobody's business. So we wanted to get to that. Listen, I'm a Laker fan. I'm definitely going to rep my guys. Dude looks good. He's about to sign an extension with the Lakers. We told you last week, we believe that it's going to be a 4-year contract. It's not going to be the 2-year contract and then the opt-out. We believe it's going to be a full 4-year. Now, I don't know if there's going to be language in there where he can have optionality to opt out, but we shall see. I think what we're going to see is somewhere in the range of 4 years, $229 million, and that's what we're looking at. Looks good. So let's keep on talking about money, shall we? I know everybody wants to talk about contract extensions and stuff like that. What I want to talk about today is the curious case of Jonathan Kuminga, Josh Giddey of the Chicago Bulls, Quentin Grimes of the Philadelphia 76ers, and who am I missing? I'm always missing one. We got Grimes, Kuminga, Giddey, and Cam Thomas. I don't know why I forget Cam Thomas in Brooklyn. No clue. But we're gonna talk about them and talk about some of the cases that are going on with them, because there's been a real stagnation in the movement of these restricted free agents. And I dove into this. I talked to a bunch of people, and I think we have a actual answer for you. So that's what this podcast is going to be about today, is this restricted free agent. We're going to give you the latest news on all of the 4 guys. And again, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because some of your free agents out there are still waiting because of this. Some of the other requisite moves that can happen are not happening because of this. So when you look at the Golden State Warriors, they were supposed to sign Al Horford by now. I think there was some rumor about Malcolm Brogdon. So there are things that are still left out there for things to be handled as far as the business aspect of the free agency period. And we're now in August. Usually all this stuff is wrapped up by like the last week of July. I would say pretty much the last time we spoke, or not the last time we spoke, but the Friday that we spoke, that was probably about the time where everything should be taken care of. But I'm going to tell you right now, and we've said it before and we'll continue to say it, the new CBA and those apron rules, even if you're near the tax, every mid to high 8-figure slot is gold. So when you're talking about 30 to 33 million, that's roughly a fifth of your entire cap for the next season. It's one step below max. It's way too rich for just a mistake contract. And owners and governors are calling GMs into the office like, hey, don't give out another $32 million contract to a dude that is scoring 16 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. That is not a $32 million dude. Just like we always say, the price of the brick has gone up, and we ain't giving out this money for free anymore. And now this brings us to the curious cases of all these guys who are in this position. Josh Giddey thought he would have a contract with the Chicago Bulls. They are haggling about pricing and what have you. Now, I've said in the past about the Reinsdorf, they're super cheap. They are. But this has more to do with the cap in how you build out your roster than you actually think. I know there are a lot of fan bases out there. I know Golden State, which their whole situation was squared away, and they knew they had Al Horford. They knew they had DeAnthony Melton and whoever else they're bringing in. But again, what you signed Jonathan Kuminga for is going to tell you and dictate to you what you're signing Al Horford for and what you're signing DeAnthony Melton for. And you would say, well, in Chicago, how's this work? Well, again, I am sure that when Giddey ended the season in Chicago on the uptick that he did, I'm sure he was thinking to himself, and his representatives were thinking to themselves, hey, I played myself into a $25 to $28 million annual average value. I'm sure he was saying that. But the window slammed shut. Every dollar up here is now a team building test, and you can't splurge. If you need proof of the rule changes or what have you, open up Bobby Marks' cap explainer, or better yet, ask your team's cap guy how much he's sweating about this apron right now. Because I'm going to tell you, those cap dudes are super serious about this CBA. I remember when it first broke, I had a couple people reach out to me and said, this is a hard cap. I don't care what they tell you, this is a hard cap. And I was like, no, they can't be. The player representative wouldn't let this go down. Well, guess what? It's not a hard cap, but it's the closest thing we have to a hard cap. You want more? Do you want more evidence? I got it for you. Let's check in with Boston and see how they're doing. Drew Holiday, gone. Now, they had to make a decision. Drew Holiday or Derek White? Well, Derek White is staying because he's younger. Both in that range. Did they get banner 18 off that? 100%. The money you invested in Drew Holiday was money well spent because it got you the 18th banner. How about Jaden McDaniels of the Minnesota Timberwolves? He got his money. But you know why he got his money? Because the playoff situation. Now, he got it before this, but his playoff performance last year was the reason why he got the money. The way he's able to play defense, the way he is able to stifle your best offensive player, the way he's able to basically give you weak side rim protection and all that, and also put up the points that he did, gives you an indication of that he is not only just a two-way player, he's a two-way player of the highest level. Now, the defensive prowess is way past the offensive prowess, but if he's able to give you 16 to 18 points every single game in playoff situations, and then go out there and lock up the best dude on the other team, or at least put him in a situation where he's going to be way less efficient than he usually is, that's exactly why Jaden McDaniels got that money. OG Anunoby, another guy who had a really impressive playoff situation. There were questions about OG Anunoby. What could he be? How much offense are you actually going to get? Can you trust him to be on the court? All those things were put to rest in New York City. And we'll get to Mikal Bridges later on in the podcast. Trust me. The next thing is that, you got to watch every penny. If you're a team like Oklahoma City, who seem to master the new financial reality of the new CBA, they signed all their dudes, every last one of them. Shea got his money, Jalen Williams got his money, and Chet Holmgren got his money. But if you look at Chet Holmgren's deal, one, it's a little less than what Jalen Williams signed for. And also, there are no player opt-outs. There's no I can in 2 years I can opt out and get more money and what have you. No, this is what you are signing for. Now, let's flip it to the other side of the coin. Remember the Tobias Harris contract? How many people in Philadelphia were pissed off at Tobias Harris because he would disappear in playoff series or in high leverage regular season games where, your seeding was on the line? The old joke that Ryan Russillo used to say is like, oh, I was watching that game for an hour and didn't recognize that Tobias Harris was on the court. He was out there getting cardio. Remember the money that Chicago Bulls signed Zach LaVine for? They had to overpay to bring DeMar DeRozan in to be kind of a credible unit, and then it kind of backfired with injuries and things of that nature, not for DeRozan, but for LaVine and Lonzo Ball and what have you. So we talked about Chicago, Tuesday? We talked about how screwed up they are, about what's going on with their situation, and we'll get more into the Giddey situation as we go along. How much did that set them back? We're still trying to figure out if they're in a rebuild situation or are they in a situation where we're going to start from right here and kind of hopefully make some shrewd moves and get ourselves into playoff contention a la the Indiana Pacers. How many years did those teams tie up $30 million plus contract in the name of value? So we talked about Derek White a little bit earlier, but this is the reason why he got his money. He can block shots at the rim. He's going to guard your best dude. And here's the thing, he's versatile. He's 6'4" with long ass arms, and then he sits there and he's able to guard a high level wing. He can guard some of your quicker guards and what have you. That's the type of person that is going to get paid, because also he can get you buckets. He's a credible offensive threat, and it's consistent. OG Anunoby, we just talked about him. Look at what kind of credible offensive threat OG Anunoby was for the Knicks last year. Remember when Brunson went down and we were trying to figure out what the Knicks were going to do without Jalen Brunson? OG Anunoby was able to put up 18 to 20, along with Karl Anthony Towns putting up the points that he was putting up. Note from Soraya: Jaden McDaniels' deal, the minute it was ink dry, you're paying for a two-way upside and playoff switchability. If McDaniels levels up, it's a bargain. If not, Minnesota fuels that mistake for 3 more seasons. We saw in this last playoff run, he was ready to go. There were points where Edwards, his second dude in some of those playoff games, was Jaden McDaniels. We're going to talk about some of the math and how it works. So your stars obviously are going to get the max money. Now, how that works is that if you're an all NBA player, or you are a defensive player of the year, or you're a MVP, you are getting 35% of what the cap is. That is just what it is at this point. That's what the collective bargaining agreement gives you. So that's what Shea got. That's what Shea Gilgeous-Alexander got from the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, if you're a bench specialist, high-level bench specialist, you're looking at anywhere between 10 to 20. Now, if you're high-level, you're absolute flamethrower coming off the bench, you're probably looking closer to like 18. That's what you're looking at. And then you got your rookie deals, and then you got your bargain vets. But that I would say I'll go a little bit even further. It's that $25 to $33 million range. People are more comfortable with that $25 million range. It's that $33 million range that people have a problem with. And usually that is bestowed to your third piece. That slot is to be a two-way playoff weapon, or you are absolutely cooked. Here's the thing. Usually that dude is your on-off clutch time dude. Okay, so if your main guy is on the bench, this dude is providing productivity on the offensive end. Most of the final teams saw their $30 million guy spike the win probability, not just maintain it. Only 2 teams in the last 6 years have had the conference finals with a dead money $30 million slot. Both got bounced. You can just trade away. You can't just trade away that situation anymore. With the new CBA, the contracts aren't as flexible as they used to be. There's not a lot of teams that are sitting there going, you know what, we'll take that bad contract for you. We'll go ahead and take that. Even if you give up draft picks, they don't want to take it. You're looking at that situation going, well, what the hell is that? Why is that happening? Not great. Not great, Bob. We pulled this line from the Athletic article. Ownership is tired of paying $30 million for vibes. If I'm writing a check, I want to see conference finals, not just good PR. If your third highest paid guy can't at least pretend to swing a series, your team is not serious as far as a contender is concerned. Once the owner feels burned on a big deal, it's twice as hard to get him to greenlight the next one. That's not just a theory. That's what front offices are saying. Look, this gets execs 100% either hired, fired, extended, called geniuses, or whatever the case may be. Here's what ownership is really saying behind closed doors. If I'm writing a check for $32 million for player X, he better swing this playoff series, cover our stars' flaws, or be the best at his role, period. If he's just pretty good, we're not burning cash for that. Unless you're in Phoenix. We're burning my willingness to spend for the next piece. That's what we're doing. One front office executive that I talked to, and I'll say it's in the Eastern Conference, he said we had to tell ownership if we can't be a third option on a contender, we're not signing. The CBA closed all the loopholes. And what they mean by closing all the loopholes is that if you notice, the Boston Celtics got themselves out of the second apron. And I'm telling you right now, my guy Anthony Simons, he hasn't really got with a real estate person in Boston yet. Because there is no guarantee that he's going to stay. I'm just telling you what I know. I'm not saying that he is going to be jettisoned off anytime very soon. I don't know if he's part of some of these deals that are being held up by some of these restricted dudes. But I do know this. He's not in a situation where he feels like, oh, I'm going to be here at least this year. So let me go ahead and put down roots. So here's the challenge. Can your third guy be your best player for 2 weeks? If not, he better be an elite glue guy who erases your stars' blind spots. As one scout said, don't pay $32 million for a guy who can't be trusted defensively in crunch time. That money has to close games, not just fill space. Remember Tobias Harris a couple years ago. Tobias Harris went to Detroit. I think he got $26 million. Now, that was still pretty high for what Tobias Harris is. But a couple years ago, when he was on Philadelphia, he was making $43 million. And $43 million for Tobias Harris was an absolute overpay. And here's the best part. Go back in history. Here's what it cost the Philadelphia 76ers. Remember when Tobias signed that contract? It was between him and Jimmy Butler. And that's where your sliding doors start to come into play. What do the 76ers look like with Jimmy Butler? That looks like a completely different team, right? I'm just getting what some of our people in front offices and scouts are saying about how the cap works. We talked about, whether he's going to be able to take over for 2 weeks or not. Soraya, great note. If he's overpaid by $5 million and still swings a series or covers a real need, then the answer isn't yes. It's at least 2. Your team is not built to last, period, because the turnover. Because here's the other thing with this. If you're in that second apron, your ability to sign the mid-level exception goes away. The ability to sign the taxpayer mid-level goes away. Oh, you can't stack up contracts to trade for a player. So, let's say for some reason you were trying to think. Okay, Phoenix. Perfect example of this situation. So Phoenix for years was sitting there like, I don't care about the CBA. I don't care. Matt Ishbia was like, we will spend as much money as I possibly can to put a winner here in Phoenix. When they wanted to go ahead and make a trade with somebody now, they didn't have a lot of assets and things of that nature. But I'm going to give you like a more utopian situation. Let's say they had assets. Let's say they had first round picks and whatever the case may be. Well, it was plain to see that the Phoenix Suns needed a point guard. They probably needed a big to round out their team. Okay? So now, let's say they wanted to make a run at Nick Claxton. If they were above the second apron, they weren't able to take like Royce O'Neal and a couple other of their like lesser known players on their team and stack up $22 million for Nick Claxton, because it was prohibited by the second apron. Atlanta couldn't get off John Collins' contract fast enough, bro. They could not get off that contract fast enough. Milwaukee, they said, oh, well, we need more offense out of Drew Holiday. He's not worth the money he's getting paid, and he needs a new contract, whatever the case may be. What did they do? They shipped him off to Portland, and Portland jettisoned him off to the Boston Celtics, and now he's back in Portland. This is over like a 3-year period. Drew Holiday is a respected NBA player, a respected vet, a winner, somebody who is beloved in the locker room, somebody who is just a model citizen. This is not a troublemaker. This is not a guy who is going to bring blues to your locker room or anything like that. He is a community guy. He's going to be great in the community. And yet again, Drew Holiday has gone from Milwaukee to Portland to Boston and then back to Portland again. And it doesn't have anything to do with his skills. It doesn't have anything to do with his attitude. It has to do with his salary. A Central Division scout said on Derek White, elite help defenders never overwhelmed by the moment and can swing a playoff game even if they only take 8 shots. That's $30 million well spent. Somebody else told me in the Southwest. This was a scout. Said this. OG Anunoby. Risky, but when he locked up opposing wings and hit corner threes, you saw why New York paid this guy. But if his shot goes cold, suddenly the contract looks very bad. Be careful of where you spend this money. Be careful. So what does this all mean or whatever? Well, I'll tell you what it all means. Let's take a look at Oklahoma City for a second. Oklahoma City's front office didn't just build a fun team. They built the model for how you are supposed to handle what a $30 million slot looks like in the new CBA. You got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as your alpha. You got Jalen Williams as your Swiss Army knife second star. And then you got Chet Holmgren. And the reason why he got paid is this. Tell me how many 7'1" dudes out there who can handle the rock, provide elite weak side rim protection, get you 16 to 18 points a game, and also be able to lock up dudes on the perimeter and also help out on the big that is probably like trying to terrorize Isaiah Hartenstein. I'll have a sip of coffee while you think that over. There's not a lot of people out there in the world that's doing that. And here's the other thing. Chet Holmgren is only 23 years of age. So what are we talking about right now? We're talking about somebody who still is on the upswing. His development has not hit its actual like zenith yet. So we're going to get more production. We're going to get better understanding of the offense and the defense. We're going to get more fleshed out skill set from Chet Holmgren. To pay somebody like Chet isn't one of those situations where you're sitting there going, well, this is super risky. No. The only risk is that if he gets injured and can't play. That's it. You don't have to take my word for it. I heard it from Pacific Division executive this week. The Thunder balance sheet is impressive as their win total. If you're not reserving your third biggest slot for a guy like Holmgren, you're already losing ground. That's not just respect. That's fear. Because when you look at this team, you're like, damn, what are we going to do? Chet isn't just unique. He's scalable. He's going to get better. A Southwest Division scout said this. Elite rim protection, space coverage, doesn't need touches, fits with your lead star. That's exactly what you need in May, not just October. Think about how many teams can say that about their third option, who can block a shot, run the floor, and knock down a three without hijacking the offense. Yeah, how many dudes? Oh, let's start talking about them. What's the rhetoric coming out of Jonathan Kuminga's camp? Oh, I was poorly developed. What's the rhetoric coming out of Cam Thomas's camp? Oh, I am better than Isaiah Quickly, RJ Barrett, and a couple other dudes, and I get buckets. That's what you want from your third guy? Is somebody who's just out there constantly I'm griping about something. I think the Chet Holmgren contract was genius. OKC is below the second apron. It still gives them flexibility, and it doesn't overlap with SGA or Jalen Williams. Most teams pay for points. OKC is about to pay for versatility and playoff proofing. What separates their GM from spreadsheet jockey is this. There's no wasted overlap. There's no max redundancy. If you look at what OKC has put together, they have a on-ball initiator who operates the offense, and that's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's their offensive engine. What is Jalen Williams? Oh, he's your second side initiator who can also take over the offensive reins when Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is sitting down. Boom, brilliant. So then what do you get with Chet? Again, we told you, he spreads the floor, he protects the rim, he gives the blues to other offensive wing players because he's 7'1" and has a 7'7" to 7'8" wingspan. So good luck getting a shot over him. By the way, he's the one dude that doesn't seem to be scared of Victor Wembanyama. Absolutely hates this dude. Absolutely cannot stand him in a competitive way. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he hates him. I just think he is saying, I don't sweat you. I'm not scared of you. And we're going to beat your ass every time we see you. It's the perfect situation. Now, the contrast to the restricted group was this. let's get real with the whole situation with these restricted free agents. Josh Giddey is a great playmaker. Well, who is he guarding? Who is Josh Giddey guarding? He's not a great defender. By the way, he's never shot better than 33.6% from three. And this is your primary on-ball initiator. Now, Jonathan Kuminga, all the tools in the world, hasn't proven a lick yet as a playoff third option. He will tell you that he just hasn't had the opportunities. I will tell you that he doesn't rebound as well and his defense is porous. As an Atlantic Division scout said to me very bluntly, Cam Thomas can score, but can he close a playoff series with him as your third best guy? Not unless you love roulette. The point is that a $30 million slot is for real scalable playoff pieces, not babies, not, well, someday, if we squint hard enough and we kind of do this and this and this, and then the moon, Mars, and Venus all align in a certain way, then this dude is going to be definitely your third dude. Again, Chet has already got a championship underneath his belt. He was a key cog to what went down in Oklahoma City. And he's getting better. He's getting better. What he looks like now, and then you check back in 2 years, what is he going to look like? How many points is he going to be able to produce? How many shots is he going to deny at the rim? Who's he guarding at that point in time? The bottom line is that Oklahoma City is teaching the league what it is to buy a third option slot. A Northwest Division staffer said it best. The new CBA is not forgiving. If you miss on that $30 million slot, you're boxed in. You hit, and you're a contender. Chet is the new standard. Buyer beware for everyone else. I know we getting a lot of love to OKC, but they're the standard bearer of what this situation looks like. And we needed to get to this. We've been talking about the CBA for 2 years. How punitive it is to be in these situations when you don't have all these options at your disposal. It's not just coming from me. This is coming from people who work in the league. So with that being said, we have told you about what is going on. Okay, so let's get into some of these aspects of what's going on with some of these restricted free agents and let you know the very latest of where we stand. First and foremost, let's go ahead and talk about Cam Thomas. Cam Thomas is talking about, I want $27 million. Okay, so let's start there. Cam Thomas is a 6'3", more of a two guard than a one. And when I say that, I mean that's not even a respectful tone. I mean, one of the biggest things that we joke about every year when it comes to Cam Thomas here at FRPC is, what do you think the over-under is on his assists total tonight? Is it going to be 2? Is it going to be 3? He doesn't look for players. He doesn't look for people. And is he an elite on-ball scorer that can generate points and bunches? Yeah. His limitations are this. He's a black hole. Defensive issues. He only played 25 games last year. How is somebody like that can sit there and honestly talk about, I want $27 million when you played 25 games last year? Yeah, your points per game pile up, but it's on a bad team. It's on the team that's winning less than 20 games. That does not translate to playoff success. His off-ball play is lazy. His decision-making is poor. And his passing lags behind. Here's what one scout told me about his playoff scalability. He said he can be hunted on D. He's not the player you trust in crunch time versus elite teams. He's a 6-man gunner. Is his best role on a playoff team. Do you pay that $30 million or $27 million? Like I was told, it's a massive overreach. He should be somewhere into the $12 to $20 million range. That's a more reasonable for his archetype. Okay, so let's go to Quentin Grimes. What's going on with our guy Quentin Grimes in Philadelphia? Well, first of all, he's 25 years of age. Okay. Second thing is this, is that he is a absolute versatile defender. He's a plug-and-play 3-and-D, great motor, fits next to stars. Here's some of the limitations. On-ball creation. He can't self-generate offense at a high level. What are the playoffs? Mostly. The one thing that we always talk about with the playoffs is that, do you have a counter to your counter? You need to be a problem solver in the playoffs. And these teams get to scout you. And they get to know your tendencies. And they know, okay, if you step your right foot out a little bit, you're going to drive to the hole. If you take a step more back, then you're going to kind of do like a 2 dribble and then pull up and shoot. That's the level of intention that goes on in the scouting when we get to playoff time. Your first move will be dissected. It will be looked at. It will be, okay, this is how we're gonna play this. And then it's gonna be up to you to make the adjustment. So is he a role player? Does his archetype command $30 million or $25 million? He absolutely helps a team win, Quentin Grimes. But as a 4 or 5 piece, not a third option. Valuable as a starter or first guard off the bench, but he's in the $12 to $17 million range. That's the right tier for him. Let's go to Giddey, right? Let's talk about Josh Giddey real quick. Elite passer. His vision is absolutely on par with some of the better guards of the game. His rebounding for a guard, if you want to call him that, because he's 6'7", about 225 pounds, is elite. His shot is improving. Okay, now let's get to some of the things that we have to kind of worry about when we talk about Josh Giddey. His defense is a persistent issue at the playoff level. One of the reasons why Oklahoma City, not this offseason, but last offseason, decided to trade Josh Giddey for Alex Caruso. They played Giddey off the court in OKC in the playoffs. Okay, he got literal no time when it came down to the come down when they played the Dallas Mavericks. Because you know who was hunting him? Oh, Luka Dončić when he was with the Mavericks. Again, we thank Nico Harrison and the Dallas Mavericks for giving us Luka to the Los Angeles Lakers. Thank you, Nico. We appreciate you, my guy. Josh Giddey's off-ball value is questionable because he can't reliably, because we're talking about his shot is improving. It's still not consistent enough where we can sit there and go, man, he's a real problem and we need to get out to him very quickly when he's beyond that 3-point line. He produced in the second half of last year. But one scout said to me like this: we need to see it again, because if this is real, then yeah, absolutely, he is somebody who is going to get played somewhere in between $23 to $28 million a year. But that also depends on the shot becoming more and more consistent. He needs to continue to work on that 3-point shot, and it needs to become more of a weapon for him. It will also open up more of his passing lanes, and it will open up his drives. Again, they talked about his defense. They talked about his defense. They said teams target him on D. Also, he struggles when off ball, when he's not the primary dude or the secondary scorer for a contender. He absolutely struggles at this situation. At best, he's a quality connector, initiator on a good team, not a third option if you want to win deep into the playoffs. We have him as a $15 to $20 million annual average value range, but his skill set right now does not justify $30 million or $27 million or whatever the case may be. It just doesn't. And that leaves our last guy, Jonathan Kuminga. Let's tell you what's going on with Jonathan Kuminga right now. First of all, I think the salary situation has been rectified. Sources are telling us. It looks like Sacramento wants him, and they're willing to go ahead and give up assets for him. What we have heard is that it's Malik Monk. Now, if you listen to a lot of people, they have this out there. I'm not telling stories or anything like that. It's out there. So it's Malik Monk and a 2030 first round pick that has protections on it, and basically if those protections are not reached, then it becomes a 2031 first round pick. And that is right now where the bone of contention is between the Golden State Warriors and the Sacramento Kings. I think that Jonathan Kuminga will be a King at some point, if it's not today. Today is damn near over. It will happen within the next 5 days. But what they're basically haggling and arguing about is what that first round pick looks like. Golden State Warriors want a unprotected first round pick. Sacramento will say, are you high? Are you on dope? Because we are not giving you that. Is there some wiggle room here? Is there some room for negotiation? There's always room for negotiation. You just got to have an open mind, clear heart, and you can get this squared away. But basically what it comes down to is this, is that probably you need to meet in the middle. A unprotected first round pick, Golden State's not going to get. A pick that Sacramento is basically winning that situation, they're not going to get. So what you need to find out is, can we make this pick protected in between 10 to 14? If the pick can be protected between 10 and 14 and we can agree upon that, Jonathan Kuminga is a Sacramento King. He can start lighting the beam right now. But they got to get that squared away. Jonathan Kuminga wants a big payday. He turned down a 2-year, $45 million contract. So that tells you one thing, right? That tells you that they were willing to give him a little bit over $20 million, $22.5 to be exact. What are Jonathan Kuminga's strengths? He's an elite athlete, a freaky, twitchy athlete. He has flashes of switchable defense because he's a freaky athlete. He can move his damn feet very quick. For somebody who is 6'7", 222 pounds, this dude is absolutely electric when it comes to his movement and his smoothness when it comes to his movement. He can finish in transition. He can go through contact. He can play with a high ceiling of physicality. Well, what are some of the issues of Jonathan Kuminga? Steve Kerr said, hey, can this dude rebound? At 6'7", 222 pounds, can you rebound, my guy? Because we kind of need that. Also, for as freaky of an athlete as you are you like holding down some of the better wings that are in the league? Because we have not seen that yet. We have not seen Jonathan Kuminga pick up his playoff or his defensive vitality at all, which would be so tremendous in the playoffs. The reason that Jonathan Kuminga played in the playoffs this year is because Steph Curry got hurt. If Steph doesn't get hurt, that dude was not playing. Because Steve Kerr has had enough. Like, there is no way that Jonathan Kuminga is coming back to the Golden State Warriors. There's no way. So you want to talk about playoff scalability? That's what somebody said to me. He's still raw, could develop into a key piece, but nowhere near a third option as of right now. More likely more of a fourth or fifth starter or energy big wing off the bench. If you pay for upside, if your team can develop him, but $30 million is a absolute gamble and a complete overpay based on his current resume. This is a scout. Somebody who does this for a living. This is what they're saying about Jonathan Kuminga. Is he worth $21 million? Maybe. He'll have to score at a high level, which I think he will if he's given the opportunities. But good luck. You're on a team with Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and Domantas Sabonis. So guess what you're looking at? What they say he was? Oh, they said most likely a fourth or fifth starter or an energy big wing off the bench. Well, guess what? If you got DeMar DeRozan, you got Zach LaVine, you got Keegan Murray, who you are hoping that turns into something still, and you got Sabonis, you got all these dudes. Where does Jonathan Kuminga fit in? Now, I know that they would try to get off DeMar DeRozan's contract or whatever the case may be. I understand that. So, yes, he would garner a starting role with the Sacramento Kings, no doubt. But that still would make him the fourth option on at best, if everything works out. He would be the third option just out of, whoever's left on the team. And what I mean by that is that if Malik Monk is still on this team, or DeMar DeRozan is still on this team, Jonathan Kuminga is the fourth option. Because Domantas Sabonis is the offensive hub. Zach LaVine is going to put up a bunch of shots. If DeMar DeRozan's there, he's a more consistent bucket getter than Jonathan Kuminga at this present time. With time, with development, he's still 22 years of age or 23 years of age or whatever the case may be. Can he develop into something better? Can he develop into something more consistent? No doubt. But he will have to play defense. And also, here's a little clue for Jonathan Kuminga. If you rebound the basketball with your athleticism, your raw power, you could take the ball off the glass, dribble it down the court, and then because of your teammates maybe nonchalantness on the defense or on the offensive end getting up the court, if you beat them up the court, you can probably go ahead and take the shot. So if you're looking for more opportunities, the best way to get opportunities is to take it off the glass yourself. Again, Jonathan Kuminga hasn't been a great rebounder. He has not shown that as being part of his game. But that's where we are. That's where we are with all the restricteds. But I wanted to make sure that this audience was locked in on why these guys aren't getting signed as quickly as they normally have. Usually, these dudes are signed probably, I would say, anywhere between July 13th to July 23rd. These dudes would have been signed in the old CBA situation. But due to the new reality and how you have to be a little more cognitive of your roster build and how the money works for you, you can't overpay. You can't overpay. If you overpay, you're going to be in a situation where you are stuck. And it's not good. Look at what Phoenix had to do. Kevin Durant is gone. They had to go ahead and waive and stretch Bradley Beal just to get underneath the second apron. Because Matt Ishbia finally took the knee. He's like, we can't, he was like, well, there's something we can do. No, there was nothing they could do. The second apron is 100% restrictive. It doesn't have give. There's no little wiggle room where you can weasel your way out of this. So he went underneath the second apron. And he paid a cost. He is literally paying Bradley Beal to not play for him. Bradley Beal is in his same division still. He's going to play for the Clippers. He's getting like 2 years, $11 million. He's not getting a lot of money in LA. But he's getting a lot of money from the Phoenix Suns because even though they waived and stretched him out, he's seeing some of those dollars. He's seeing a lot of those dollars. I think he only gave back like $15 million of a possible 114. So my man is still gonna make like $99 million over the next 5 seasons. And by the way, one of the reasons why it took so long because that thing was rumored to go on. One of the reasons why it took so long for him to go ahead and do the buyout was because there was a lump sum payment of 25% of his salary for the upcoming year that was going to be given to him like on July, I want to say 3rd it was. Yes, July 3rd. So then once that was paid, he was ready to go. Hey, I'm ready to go ahead and do the waive and all that. Yep, absolutely. I will go ahead and, move my no trade clause along for you. And I'm ready to go on to Los Angeles and be a Clipper and play with James Harden and Kawhi Leonard. So look at what the gymnastics that Matt Ishbia had to do to get off of this salary and to get his team underneath this second apron because he knew how restrictive it was. He knew how punitive it was. And that is where we are. Overpaying for regular season stats and not proving playoff impact, death knell. Tying up vital flexibility in your cap for a non-scalable, non-tradable assets, death knell to your roster build. Risking future team building for a player who may be a 5 to 7 piece on a real contender and you massively overpaid him will get your executive fired. Will get your whatever, your president or VP or player personnel fired. These are things that people in the league have said. This is not just me just blowing smoke out my ass. This is what actual people have said in the league. That's the reason for the restricted free agents not being signed. Because we are being fiscally responsible in the NBA. And massive overpays are over. I like to thank Soraya. I like to thank Maya. I like to thank the entire FRPC crew for getting all this information for us and really providing some of the color for this particular podcast. I think it was very, very important for people to hear because I'm sure when you're talking about your team right now, and yeah, it might not be a big move or whatever the case may be. It might be a real small move. But a lot of the restrictions or a lot of the things that are kind of stuck right now probably have a lot to do with these restricted free agents and where they're actually going to land. Again, Al Horford should have been a Golden State Warrior like 2 weeks ago. He's not because of the Jonathan Kuminga situation. I have no idea if Philadelphia has anything up their sleeve other than the Quentin Grimes thing. But I would be thoughtful to think that maybe they have something kind of cooking on the auxiliary burner after they finalize what they're going to pay Quentin Grimes and they have some actual salary certainty when it comes to him. Now, I don't know what Chicago's has planned other than Josh Giddey, but they're damn sure going to make sure they're not paying that dude like $27 million. That is damn sure they're not going to do that. So, again, I like to thank my crew for helping me out to provide this particular podcast for you. I think it was super important. I think when we learn things on this podcast, when we are able to give out and disseminate this kind of information, I think it makes for you guys to have better conversations with your friends about what goes on in the inner workings of the NBA. I think is enlightening to us because we get to hear real talk when it comes to these players, and it's like really antiseptic. It's really like at the crux of it, and I love it. So I learned something today. I hope you guys have learned something. And again, be a friend and tell a friend about the podcast. Tell them about Frontrunner at Frontrunner PC on Twitter, at Rhea _Funch FRPC on Twitter. Please engage with us. Please send us little notes or whatever, how we can improve the podcast for you. We hope to cater to some of your needs down the road. The other thing I want to say is this. The best part of you is you. Make sure that the people that surround you are supportive. They are uplifting. They are able to really just put your mind at ease about you can go out and do your thing and be very, very successful at what you do. I am blessed to have an incredible wife who is supportive throughout what I do. She puts up with me sometimes not spending time with her so I can get this stuff done. I am incredibly blessed. But the one thing about that is that acknowledge those people who are supportive to you. Be appreciative of the people who are championing your causes, who are able to listen to you, and what have you. Make sure they feel supported. And if you're doing all that, you're a first round draft pick in my book, and we are glad to have you, and there's always a chair for you here at Frontrunner Podcast Collective. So with that being said, you guys have a great weekend. I'm going to watch a bunch of SummerSlam. You know what I'm saying? Night 1, night 2. Definitely. I'm going to be on the phone trying to figure out what the hell is going on with these restricted free agents. And hopefully by Tuesday, we have some damn answers for you other than what we have right now. And if not, we'll have another kick-ass podcast for you as well. So don't worry about that. I will always come up with something. So with that being said, we can get up out of here. Again, enjoy your weekend, and we will see you on Tuesday. Deuces.